Hi, I'm Nick Milani, Executive Director of Product Marketing with Crestron Electronics, and welcome to this digital breakout focused on architecting the modern workplace. I'm joined by several folks from Microsoft, as well as a colleague of mine from Crestron Electronics. Without further ado, let's jump right into the discussion and really try to break down how do we solve the challenges of really applying technology in a diverse workplace. The modern workplace promises the idea of a variety of spaces for people to work and do their job. And obviously that stretches us as technologists. It challenges us to then apply technologies in a consistent way, which is both easy to use, but also serves the specific needs of the specific work styles during that time of day. So let's start with Greg Barabal, who leads up the product management for the Teams Device Product Group. Greg, how's the last year changed everything? I mean, what are we seeing with meeting rooms and devices, and how are they still relevant?
That's a great question, Nick. I think for me, at least in the last year, what I have observed is that we've all been on this kind of unique level playing field. We're all remote and nobody is working in the conference rooms right now. And I think we've all become very tuned into the challenges that exist there. When you're remote, you don't have the advantages of sitting in the room with folks, seeing their body language, really picking up a lot of the conversation that isn't spoken. And, that makes collaboration and working with others a lot more difficult. As we've become more attuned to that, though, I think we're learning a lot and we're going to be able to apply that back when we do return to work and get back into the room. Right now, across our Teams rooms environment, we're seeing a dramatic increase in room utilization. So people are getting back into the workplace. They are actually engaging in remote meetings a lot more frequently than they were, 8 months ago, 10 months ago. So we are now kind of adapting our strategy and our product to meet these new and unique needs. The best strategies, business strategies, technology strategies are durable. They can survive, changes like we've gone through. And I think that's true for both Crestron products and Microsoft products. We're seeing that hold true. When we started the room system project, Skype room systems, and now, of course, Microsoft Teams rooms, we targeted three main constituencies in any company. The end user, first and foremost. The IT administrator or UC administrator, and the buyer. So putting that user at the very center of what we do really is very fundamental to our strategy. And putting the user at the center means different things. First it means quality and resiliency, reliability. A room system isn't worth much if you walk in and the system doesn't work. But more so, and very core to the way we design product, is to make sure the systems are familiar, predictable. People are stressed out and distracted, and they want to focus on the meeting, the content, the job at hand, and not have to learn how to use a room system when they walk in. So that familiarity and ease of use is very core to what we do. And one of the key things that we introduced a year ago was this concept of proximity join, and using a Bluetooth beacon in the room system to emit its location and allow people nearby to connect to that room and take control. So with the need for people to return to work in a safe, reliable way, we're investing even more now in that proximity technology. So for example, one of the things you'll be able to do is from your phone or laptop or Mac, walk into a room and just simply cast your screen with one click on your device. You don't need to touch anything in the room. You don't have to touch any shared surface. Using your own personal device, you can now just cast your screen instantly. Another is personal remote. So to get more control of the room, turn the volume up and down, turn the camera on and off, mute. Everyone in the room will be able to use their phone as their own personal remote control for the room. So again, no need to touch any sort of shared surface that's in the room. So really thinking about how we take the technology that's there and adapt it to the sort of changing needs as people come back. Another huge area, though, is this focus on inclusion and making sure both the people in the room and the people that are remote feel like they're included in the discussion. They can inject, an opinion if they have something to say. They feel like they're seen and able to collaborate with everyone else. So, to do that, again, about a year ago, we introduced what we called content capture. So the ability to take whiteboarding collaboration that was happening in the room, let everybody remote see that, participate in that discussion. We've added raise hand capability. So if you have something to say, you can indicate that by clicking the raise hand button. You can have captions on the screen, a full transcript of the meeting. So if you're not even there, you can catch up on what you missed. So again, a real focus on making people feel included in the discussion. And then one last area that we are really excited about that's coming up actually later this month is a brand new gallery experience for the front of room displays. So leveraging all of the great investments that have gone into the desktop application, we're bringing all of those to the front of room display as well. So you'll see a new dynamic stage, letting users control how much content and video they see, giving real prominence to the video contributors to the meeting, while putting the audio contributors, a little smaller to the side. Just rethinking the way that we prioritize space on that front of room display. It also allows us to bring some new Teams capabilities, like the together mode in large gallery, onto the front of room as well. So, I think you can see a big focus on getting end users involved and kind of equal participants, whether they're in the room or remote, very core to the strategy. So I'd like to actually hear a little bit more about your devices strategy as well. Joe, do you want to take us through a little bit of what Crestron is doing in this space?
Sure do, Greg. Give me just a second. Let me request control, and I'll walk you through, our portfolio. And so we've been at Crestron Teams meeting room participants since the very beginning, involved, back when it was Link Room System through Skype Room System. So it's really something that we are, really invested in, and this is something that we think is really critical for us. So I just want to talk about the portfolio for us has evolved with Microsoft over time. So we've, focused on different types of spaces and how do we bring the best possible device experience. And that is something that we continue to do to this day, evolving different types of devices and different experiences so that we can bring that Teams experience to these users and then have that inclusion and let people use a meeting room and fully interact with the remote participants that are involved. I think one of the key pieces for us has been the rise of Teams in private spaces and how can we assist with that and accommodate that. Our new M-Series Mercury Mini conference phone device is a tremendous device for smaller meeting spaces, but also it works great in private offices. I'm actually using one right here today as my Teams audio device to use this in the space. And so we can incorporate other things like our certified smart sound bar and different ways that we can bring those into different environments. The other piece, going into the meeting rooms is really critical is we want to make sure that the people who are remote participants have that great meeting experience. So how do we make sure that everybody can hear, everybody can see what's going on in the different spaces where they're working from? And it's been a driving force for us to make sure that we have the right devices for those spaces. And that importance only grows as we go further up the size of different rooms. What can we do in medium meeting spaces to make sure that we accommodate with the right kind of cameras and what can we do, when we get up to large meeting rooms? Certainly we have solutions that are available as a single package that you can buy and roll out, when a large space is really just a space for more people, but isn't necessarily more complex. But also something Crestron really does well is we can accommodate truly custom spaces. So the idea that now you can bring that great Teams meeting experience that's on your mobile device, that's on your laptop, that you use at home in a private office, that you use in all your other meeting rooms, now you can bring it to spaces like an auditorium or a classroom or the boardroom, spaces where the application is a little bit different for how the technology is used, but you still want to have that great Teams meeting experience. And another piece that has been critical for us, especially in these times, and what we're doing with assisting people coming back into the office, is finding ways to roll out mobile solutions, taking those certified Teams room solutions and putting them in spaces where either you need video very rapidly and you have to get Teams collaboration, or maybe it's a space that you didn't have video before, so you can facilitate a large number of people both working in a space and working from home and working remote. A great example of this is even here at Crestron, we've rolled some of these solutions into our different manufacturing areas so that we can maintain social distancing and just have, critical personnel there to make devices, but all the other coordinated personnel can meet with them remotely via a system that we were able to roll onto our assembly floor. And I think that is something that, is really a key piece in our portfolio, is how do we fit the different definitions of spaces, and how do we work with our partners to really accommodate that with Microsoft? So that kind of leads me into my question, which I'll pass over to Albert, is, how do we get customers started with their journey to these Teams devices? What can we do?
Yeah, and for that, so I want to tell a little bit about the story that Microsoft went through, right? So because as it turns out, it is not something that happens overnight, right? So we as Microsoft, about 4 or 5 years ago, we had a whole variety of spaces and a whole variety of solutions. And if I were to actually take a journey and try to transpose this to actually your situation as the end customer, right? So there was one big learning that we had in order to scale. Currently, we have thousands of rooms that are equipped with Teams room systems. And in there, what was the most important thing was that we needed to come to standardization. So I lead the team in the Teams devices team that actually works on certification and on partner engineering. And what we actually realized was that if you are looking at all these spaces and you have a different solution that behaves differently, it is not only confusing to myself, but it's confusing to every one of our end users as well. So what we concluded as Microsoft was that we needed to standardize. We needed to standardize and try to create the right experience for the right space. Now, how do you do that? Because we have offices all over the world. The first thing that we realized was that we needed to actually start looking at the space size, because there is a whole bunch of considerations that I will come back to in a second, that you have a dependency on a microphone that is picking up the audio, for example. You have a field of view of the camera. So we actually started defining archetypes, and archetypes of rooms essentially were defined by how big the room is. Then we started looking at things like how much money do we want to spend? And so the budget was the very important criteria, like how much dollars do I want to spend? And there we actually came to the conclusion, well, there is a different budget for every different room size. So in other words, if you have a very large space, like the room size that, not the mobile one, but the custom one, the auditorium that Joe was just speaking about, those can actually be spent more money on than, for example, when you have a focus room. We started looking at all the different configurations of the furniture in the room. So sometimes you have a table that is placed towards the wall. That means that the people will be sitting closer to that particular room. So with other words, we started standardizing, and we started creating a guide that across the world, everyone would need to actually adhere to. Because only with that predictability, where we roll out one type of standard configuration to all the places in the world, we actually, as an IT department, were able to manage all those rooms a lot better. So what do we do in that particular case? So if you want to standardize, you actually start looking at what are the different room sizes. And that actually also points back very much to the slides that Joe showed just a moment ago. We actually standardize on a very limited amount of space types. We had a focus room, which is a small room, let's say about 3 meters by 3 meters. maximum size, so that's about 10 foot by 10 foot. We had a small meeting room, we had a mid-size meeting room, you had a large meeting room, and you had the extra large. Now let's actually start with the extra large, because if you are then talking about some room where there's about 20, 25 people sitting in there, you can imagine that that is quite a space to actually have a mic pick up the audio. So in that particular case, we would say, coming back to the question that I had about budget, okay, hey, we will put ceiling tiles in, and those ceiling tiles have mics. They actually have the capability of picking up everyone, whether they're sitting on the extra row or whether they're on the main table. They will be able to be seen. So we started defining for every one of these room sizes exactly what is the type of device that needs to go in there. So in other words, if we are taking a look at a small meeting room with this particular table setup, right? So this is a Herman Miller table where you have this wide outside. You need to actually at that very moment have the right audio and video. So in other words, if you are measuring this and you actually have a sound bar that you have at the front of the room, right? So here you have this Crestron sound bar, which has audio built in, but it's the edge of the room. At that very moment, you need to actually realize that you need to have a sound bar that can pick up the audience up to 3.5 meters away in that small room. So that is the type of consideration that went into that. For this particular room, that soundbar of Crestron is the right device because it actually can reach far enough. But I said it's not only about the microphone and the speaker, it's also about the camera. You saw that this table was very wide. So at that very moment, when it's very wide, you actually need to have a very wide field of view of your camera. And that's exactly what we did here. So in the soundbar of Crestron, there is a Hudley camera that actually can see 120 degrees field of view, so that those people that are on the left and the right in the front of the table, they actually will be able to be seen by that particular camera. Let me give you one more example where you're talking about a different size of room. For example, a large room. So here we've got a setup where Crestron partners with the Logitech Rally. Now, you've got a large room, so you actually need a mic setup, but officially the mics are able to pick up about 2.3 meters. Now, of course, this is not black and white, but this is effectively a gradation. But if you really want to have good audio where people are understood, there's 2.3 meters. Now, standard, the size, I do not know who's moving my slides, but standard, the size of the, can you move back to the previous slides, Greg, sorry. Okay, thank you. Standard, the pickup of the mic is about 2.3 meters. If you have two mics, you will see that not all the people on the table are covered. So at that very moment, when they are not covered, you actually need to put an extra mic. And that's what we are doing now as well as Microsoft. For every room that is a large meeting room, we are shipping these with 3 mics and not the 2 mics that Logitech Standard would have configured. Same goes for the Rally camera. It can actually look very deep, but it has for the speaker. If it has 2 speakers, it actually can go very deep because it has a lot of sound. Sorry. Here we go. So now we are talking about the camera. The camera has a 70-degree field of view and can therefore look very deep. Now, when you're looking at this, you also need to take a look at the whole cabling. So we started publishing for the whole world a whole set of cables that actually are standardized for everywhere where you go, because cables matter. And we ship to the whole world exactly the cables that need to be configured for that particular room so that there is a predictable behavior. So that is in essence what we are doing. And with that, I actually want to go back to Nick. So Nick, what do you guys do in order to essentially make sure that the IT admin is in control over their room? So what else do you offer beyond those room systems that we have?
Yeah, that's a great question, Albert. And I think oftentimes, as we think about the workplace, naturally our focus goes to the spaces where people meet in groups, right? It focuses on the room. But any of us that have ever worked in a decent-sized enterprise know that oftentimes finding the space is a battle. So a lot of what we've tried to do is add intelligence around the meeting room as well, beyond what the MTR itself provides. And so the first one is really about that idea of being able to find spaces. And we've got a long history of scheduling solutions at Crestron, and we're excited excited to announce at Ignite this new partnership with Microsoft around Teams Panel, and it really helps people understand the importance of whether it's on your app, whether it's being able to look down the hall and see an indicator sign and be able to very clearly tell whether a room's available or booked. Walking up to the panel itself, is it the right meeting? Do I need to find another space? Can I quickly enter that area and have confidence that I'm in the right room for this discussion with my colleagues? And then, of course, we get into the room itself. And as we think about that kind of journey to the space, when we get there, we've kind of got three states of these panels. One is available, telling them that the room can be booked ad hoc. Oftentimes, as a team, we meet and maybe it's a large meeting that's broken down into smaller groups. We've got to go find some subspaces to work, or just the opposite. We've bumped into each other in the room. We've needed to catch up for a while. We need to very quickly go find a space to work in. So the first example over here on the left is really those available spaces, and the light indicators and the entire UI communicates very clearly to the person that room's available to be used. Once the room's booked, it turns red. And unique to Microsoft, tying together a lot of the technology through the people counting of the camera back up through the system, we can actually tell also when it's over capacity and give people, which is a now very relevant topic given the context we all work in. And so by having this kind of greater intelligence, it helps the employees prepare themselves for coming into the space, which is really important. Oftentimes, if we have difficulty finding spaces, that cognitive disruption throws off our performance once we get there. An example of how that kind of works is just a quick little video here that shows, the occupancy sensor in the room, tying into the entire scheduling system, automating features with how it behaves, that one touch to join, we come in and away we go. And the idea is very simple here. Let's remove all the barriers to us collaborating as a team and doing what we actually need to do. As I like to say, sometimes we need to allow our teams to focus on their work, not making the technology work. As we move, though, beyond kind of that concept, we start to think about then, how do we make those spaces smarter? So you notice the occupancy sensor in the last animation, actually the shade started to go up. This is one of the core competencies of Crestron. This is something we've done for decades, which is integrate different technologies to make them more intelligent and ultimately not just intelligence for the sake of intelligence, but to serve the employees in the space. What we want to do is we want to make the technology respond to their needs. And in that case, when we come into these areas, what we'll see is this ability for us to do a page flip. And what this does, by clicking on the control panel, I can go over to room controls, and now I can start to control environmental things like lighting, shades. I can tie together, if I have multiple HDMIs in the room and I want to be able to switch content providers, you can tie together really to whatever your imagination's limit is. We can connect that in there and create macros and services that make it simpler for the employees. It also allows us to share content wirelessly, allows us again to plug in content. And the goal here is just to remove that burden of thinking about it. We want to offer employees all the options they have based on their work style and their workflow. Whatever they're comfortable with, let's meet them where they are. All right, so we've got the journey to the room. We've made the room smarter. Now we get to the question of how do we manage that space and how do we actually do this at scale? Greg started with this huge impact that obviously the last 9 months have had on teams and on video conferencing in general. And we've seen this explosion in use. And what we're seeing is that the teams that manage all these spaces, they're not growing proportionate to the number of spaces being added in. And so when we think about managing these things at scale, we start to think about how does Crestron offer tools that complement the Microsoft suite of tools to specifically kind of manage that hardware that Joe overviewed earlier. And that's really our XIO Cloud built in Microsoft Azure. This gives people the ability to, and one of the cool features is remotely control the room. So if you're having an issue, an admin can see exactly what they're seeing in the room, go through and control it remotely, help the person work through any problems they might have, also get notifications when a room's having problems, be able to go in and see what's happening, do a hardware reset, update hardware firmware, and ultimately have that greater oversight of what's going on in the space and gaining analytics and information about that. So this ultimately provides that capability for all of us beyond just the room. So let me go ahead and pass it over to Greg to wrap things up. Greg, as we think about architecting the modern workplace, we think about this discussion. What would you keep in mind for customers? What's something they can act on to help make this a reality?
Yeah, well, first, thank you for everything you shared. That was some really, really great stuff for the Crestron is bringing to rooms, and I think it reinforces that our shared strategy is about providing customer choice and whether it's of the equipment itself from this incredible collection of certified cameras and microphones and room systems to choice of management services. XIO is an excellent example of that. And then, of course, Teams Admin Center and the premium service built right into Teams Rooms. But to really get customers started, we are also really excited to talk about our new Fast Track program. As a benefit to Fast Track, Microsoft will actually pay for 2 rooms to be integrated and installed and kind of get you going with a high quality installation. And as part of Fast Track, we will remotely monitor more rooms as a trial beyond those 2. So rooms.microsoft.com is where you can learn more about those programs to get started. And I think together, I'd like to say thanks for joining us today, and we hope you learned something.
Yeah, absolutely. A wealth of information. I'll just remind folks, too, as you're listening in, if you'd like to connect with any of us, please use the Ignite portal to reach out. And, we certainly, as Crestron, have a team ready to respond and go on site and help you through this, and working, arm in arm with our partners at Microsoft. And we believe that 1-2 punch, that killer application with great hardware in the space, really will help you architect that future workplace and provide your teams with the tools they need to focus on their work, to be efficient, and to ultimately drive your business forward. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining, and look forward to connecting with you all soon. Good to see you, Greg. Good to see Albert and Joe. Thank you.
Hey, guys. See you.
Welcome back to the